Hello, everyone, and welcome
Shekhar.
to today's webinar, From AI Tools to AI Native Engineering, Reducing Cycle Time at Scale. I'm your host, Mike Teeling, and we're glad you could join us. Over the past few years, AI has quickly become an essential part of the software engineer's toolkit. Many development teams are experimenting with tools like code assistants, copilots, and AI-powered productivity platforms. But enough of the hype. Okay, here's the reality. Most organizations are still using AI as a tool, not designing systems that are truly AI native. And that's an important difference. AI tools are helping engineers code faster. From AI native engineering, however, is different. It can change how software systems are designed, how they're built and operated from the ground up. That shift introduces new architectural patterns, new development practices, and new opportunities for innovation. To help us explore this topic today, I'm joined by two experts from Talentica Software, Mayank Kansal and Ritesh Agarwal. They're both solution architects at Talentica. Welcome, guys. It's glad to have you with me today.
Hey, thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, great. So together, let's explore what it really means to move beyond AI tools and to begin building AI native systems. So let's take a look first at today's agenda. Over the next 45 minutes or so, we're going to explore several key themes. The productivity myth in modern engineering, how AI transforms the software development lifecycle, or SDLC, practical high-impact AI tactics for engineering teams. We're going to go over a real-world case study, why the AI native engineering mindset really matters to you and your organization. And then we'll have questions and answers from you, our audience, okay? So before we get started, though, I wanted to go over a few quick housekeeping items. During today's session, we'll be conducting a couple of pop-up polls. Your participation is optional, of course, but would love to hear your perspective on today's topic. If you want to ask our presenters a question, please use the Q&A button located at the bottom of your Zoom toolbar. And at the end, we'll have a quick Q&A, and you can submit your question at any time, all right? Finally, playback of this webinar will be available on demand. We'll send you the replay link using the email that you registered with, as well as the results of our poll questions. And we'll do that right after the event today, okay? So with that out of the way, let's get started. Ritesh, I want to throw it over to you.
Hey, Mike. Thank you for the great introduction. And good morning, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. So AI has been around us for more than 3 years now. And the way it is changing the things in the entire IT industry or the software industry is incredible. The kind of things that AI could do today, it's really, really impressive. But there is a common misconception in the industry that if developers are provided with more tools and AI tools, then somehow it is assumed that the productivity of the whole system or the whole software improves or increases, which is not entirely true. There are multiple phases in a software development lifecycle, as you can see over the screen here. Like the required starts with the requirement phase. You have an idea, you come up with an idea, then you design the system, you design the UX, then you develop, and then you, of course, test it, and then you finally deploy it for end users to use. But all our focus is primarily on development. People's focus is every time on development, and because of which development speed increases, but finally the cycle time does not increase or improve. The majority of the code written by the developers are sitting in PR reviews or QA cycles or approvals or even pending for deployment. What we have learned in past 3 years is that the AI, the cycle time is not measured by the fastest phase in this SDLC, but it is measured with the slowest phase, not the fastest phase. So with that, let me explain what it. Hold on 1 second. I'll move to the next slide. 1 second. Yeah. So let me explain how this looks like in the real world, at least from our experience, what we have for the past 3 years. We have found that requirements and PRDs are around 70% effectiveness, which is more like high leverage areas where you can use AI. Because if you are using AI only for development, then what will happen is this choking thing will keep happening. Hence, AI should be used in all the 6 phases to maximize productivity and improve the cycle time. System designs, on the other hand, we see a medium leverage because it requires a lot of architectural knowledge because AI makes a lot of mistakes. AI presents you with a lot of options, and you need good amount of human control to choose the right option at hand. UX UI design, we see today it's a bottleneck where we see only a 30% effectiveness, which Mayank will explain in future slides. Development, we see the highest amount of effectiveness, which is 80%. QA testing, again, in a medium range of 50%. And deployment and ops, we see again 70% leverage because a little less than development or little less than requirement because there are security concerns while you're executing commands in your cursor or Copilot, right? It becomes important for an engineer to review them every time they are executed. Hence, the productivity is a little on the lower side, but we can say it high at 70%, but not way beyond that.
Thanks, Ritesh. I appreciate that. So it's apparent, that simply increasing coding speed with AI tools doesn't necessarily translate into faster delivery, right? So cycle time is the metric that really reveals where the bottlenecks are. Before we continue, let's check in with our audience. So it's time for our first poll question. So where is your organization currently using AI in the software development lifecycle? Is it during development using things like coding assistance, requirements or product documentation, testing and QA automation, DevOps and CI/CD pipelines, or are you just kind of still experimenting with it? We'd love to know your thoughts. So take a few minutes here and submit your response. Again, we'll make sure to share this with you after the call. Great. All right. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective. I think it's interesting to learn where teams are currently applying AI across the SDLC. As we've seen, many organizations start with development tools, but the real opportunity here lies in expanding AI beyond coding and into the rest of the delivery pipeline. That's exactly what we're going to talk about next. Mayank is now going to walk us through how AI can be applied across different stages of your SDLC, from requirements and system design all the way through testing and deployment. Mayank, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. So hi, everyone. As Ritesh just covered the effectiveness of AI at a high level at different phases. So I'll cover each phase in detail. Let's start with the requirement phase, where we see effectiveness on the higher side. And if we think of a hypothetical situation of building a incident management system for our internal team, right? What a normal user might do is use these tools like, let's say, Copilot, Claude, right? Or maybe ChatGPT as well. Go there, write a couple of lines about the incident management tool in the requirement and kind of hit the button and expect that AI will do the whole other work, writing a full PRD. Definitely AI writes it and it looks like a polished one, but the things are missing. The specific things about your team is missing, right? Specificity about your requirements are missing. How this incident management system will talk to your internal system. What are the user scenarios that it should cover? What are the users that your internal team uses, right? All those specificity about your thing is missing because the AI assume a lot of things if you don't mention it, right? That's how the people miss things here. But when we think about a AI native engineer, right? How he will do the things differently, right? So the AI native engineer, right? He doesn't just give the prompt immediately to AI tools, right? He hold his desire and think about what he wants from AI, right? Takes time to write the prompt and then give it to AI, right? He even set roles to the AI so that the pitch and the wording from AI is appropriate, right? It uses the technique of asking questions, like AI asks question before answering, right? Even the user use planning agent where AI ask all questions related to your edge cases about your internal system integrations and all that part, right? So that you are not missing things and AI understand and has the context, right? And even going further, right? the native engineer, right, he can provide using different MCPs, right? Like Atlassian MCP, give other information related to maybe the other features, right? And provide that as a context to AI so that the PRD is more appropriate, have more integration points, right? And and as I mentioned, right, we can definitely use the Atlassian MCP for even more providing more richer context uh, to AI tools, right? The AI native engineer might not stop there just, right? He can even utilize AI tool to write user stories from the PRD and directly upload to Jira, again using Atlassian MCP, right? So there are various tools like Copilot, Atlassian Robo, right? So these are the things the AI native engineer will do to get a better quality PRD, right? So yeah, so so that's it for the requirement phase. I'll move to the next phase, so which is system design, right? And again, effectiveness on the system design is on the higher side, right? And if we continue our situation of building incident management system, right, what a normal user might do is like go to chat gpt, write couple of lines about we are building an incident management system, give me a system design document covering these and these scenarios, right? And hit the button and expect that the AI will generate a good quality design document, right? It gives that, but again, right, specific things. What is the right database for your exact requirement, right? What could be the right architecture patterns? What could be the NFRs, right? Those things might be missing if we don't mention it, right? But how different the AI native workflow will look like, right? So the AI native engineer will do things differently. So he will again use technique called Holland prompt, right? Setting role, ask before the answer technique, right? Even use planning agent here. But there are more things the AI native engineer can do, right? Asking solution reasoning from AI. So not just AI provide you the solution, what was the AI thought process behind providing that solution, right? Even can ask AI to give more alternative solutions with pros and cons. And the AI native engineer, right, he can go through all those pros and cons, understand them, and then appropriately select a better choice, right, as per the requirement. He can he can do rapid POCs because many a times, right, when we prepare a system design, we have to do multiple POCs to solidify our design choice. So with these tools, we can do those POCs really fast, right? And we can even reduce our research time as well. Many times, like in an earlier word, right, we have to read a lot of blogs online to get some solution from those blogs, but those research time are significantly reduced by using these web search tool in these AI assistant tools, right? So using these techniques, the AI native engineer can get a very good design document, a design solution using these AI tools. And when we create a design document, right, using these membrane script from these tools, we can definitely create a good uh, architectural diagram, sequence diagram, and other diagram to represent our solution. Could be better. Yeah, so these are the technique we can use to get a better quality in the system design phase. So I'll move to the UX in UI design phase. Here, as Ritesh mentioned, AI effectiveness is on the lower side. And what people are doing normally is they are creating those Figma designs. Let's say if we are using Figma to for our screens, UX creation. So they are manually creating all the UX screens. They are manually creating multiple version of those screens as prototype, right? And because we have to show multiple screen to stakeholder and get approval on a final version. So that's the normal people might do, but what an AI native engineer should do and will do here is AI augmented prototyping, where he just not do all the stuff manually. He used these tools like Figma Make, Replit, Lovable, right? All these tools to do the prototyping quickly, augmented way, right? Um, Generating multiple version of the same UX, getting the approval from stakeholder could be really fast using these tools, right? And here again, he can use the techniques that I earlier told, like hold and prompt, to get a better quality output from these tools. But why the effectiveness is on the lower side. So why is it on the lower side? Is because of the limitation with this prototyping tool, like design system limitation. This tool doesn't support design system fully, so that's the limitation right now. The sync between Figma, Make, and Figma and other tool to Figma. So that because of this limitation, right, the UX engineers still have to create those UX screens manually, but the prototyping can be easily done in the AI augmented way and get more productivity here. So if you move on to the development phase, that is where most of the team focus, and the entire trying to get more productivity in this phase. And we also see effectiveness is on the very higher side here. And but one thing I would like to mention that normally people does here is they kind of, let's say they have to develop a feature, they get a Jira ticket. What they normally do is go to the Jira ticket, copy the requirement from the description, and just give it to AI, and then hit the button to get the solution, right? That is more like vibe coding, where they don't understand things. Quality varies, might be bugs, might be product performance issues, bugs, right? Corner cases are missing. That's way, but how a AI native engineer will do, that's the vibe coder part, right? How AI native engineer will do things differently here, right? He follow those technique, hold and prompt. The planning mode really works very well on the development phase as well. It is using the planning mode, right? The AI asks more questions to you to get even better context, right? And the developer, right, he can attach more context to AI before hitting the button, by if he knows what are the files that's going to be changed or what is the folder that's going to be changed, right? To even uh, reduce the cost, as well as give better context before the AI start implementation, right? And a very essential thing that developer or AI native engineer does here is reviewing the AI solution or the plan, right? Before the AI start implementing it, the native engineers definitely review the plan or the solution that AI generates, and do the correction if there is some change need to be done, right? And to get a better quality code, right, production ready code, following your guidelines, best practices, we should definitely, and AI native engineer definitely should set the rules files, where he mentioned about all the guidelines, the best practices, all the different sections, in all the rules related to different sections, right? So to get a better quality code out of AI, and definitely use those different MCPs like Figma MCP, Atlassian MCP, Context 7x MCPs to provide even more richer context to AI. Figma MCP works really well with the front-end development, get the React component faster developed. Atlassian MCP for giving more context, and Context 7 for getting the more updated library context, right? So definitely we can use them. And to go further, right, the AI native engineer will definitely you write those integration and unit testing through AI, and even get better quality test scripts using breaking the phase into scenario, writing the scenario first and then implementing those test script scenarios, right? So that is how we can get a better quality output in the development phase through AI tools. Yeah, so QA and testing phase, right? Here again, the effectiveness is on the medium side, and the tools that people generally use it like Copilot, Cloud Cursor, and other framework MCP. But what the people generally do here, and what AI native engineer differently do things, what people generally do here is, uh, let's say they have to automate one manual test cases, right? They open this Cloud or Cursor tool, write the manual script, and hope that AI will automate the script, the manual test case. But the first thing is the manual test case has to be correct, right? It should not miss any step. Second, if we are not setting things properly, again, the QA engineer might do the vibe coding, right? The things could be missing here. But what an AI native engineer should do here, and does things differently, is again following those best practices of holding and prompting, planning mode, right? Writing rules, which is more specific to QA automation, right? Like how to handle those selectors, where to write those features file, best practice of writing those files, right? So that you get a better quality output from AI tools. And we can automate these manual test generation even with these AI tools, pointing over PRD using that Atlassian MCP, right? To automate that part. And when a QA engineer writes those scripts, right? Let's say using the BDD as a framework and BDD as approach and Playwright as a framework, the native engineer will split and instruct AI to split the test script creation process into phases, like first create the BDD feature file, then the selector, and then the steps. And because of these rules for these phases, right, it will give a better quality test scripts, right? But why is effectiveness on the medium side here? Uh, because of these tools, let's say these Playwright MCPs, and using these Playwright MCP is very essential, so that because the AI, these MCPs, right, they gives eyes to the tools so that the AI tool can kind of visually look your browser screen and get those selectors. But sometimes these tool do little mistake on the invalid selectors, kind of global selector or more generalized selector, and sometimes the incorrect UI element. So these tool has to work on more stabilization so that the AI effectiveness can definitely increase once these stabilization are done. Yeah. So to the next phase, deployment phase, right? Effectiveness again is on the higher side here, and people generally tends to again do vibe coding here, but that could be very risky because it's a deployment phase, right? You are dealing with your infrastructure, right? Vibe coding could be very risky. One shot code generation could be very risky, and AI native engineers does think differently. The AI native engineering approach looks different, right? He again kind of use Holden prompt technique, planning mode technique, right? Rules, writing specific rules for the deployment, right? How to create those Terraform script, what are the best practice for those Terraform script, what is the best practice for the pipeline script generation, what are the things that should be used, the guidelines, all that part, restriction, all that part, security restriction, all that part, right? So that should be in the rules files. And definitely we can use Atlassian MCP and MCP like AWS Cloud MCPs, right? So that AI has more context related to your some written wikis on deployment diagrams, right? AWS MCP gives more context related to its services and best practices, and even help us on the cost analysis as well, right? So these are all the this is like this way AI native engineer can get better quality output, right, from using these techniques through AI. Yeah, so that's it from my side.
Wow, thanks, Mayank. That was a very thorough walkthrough of how AI is really impacting the entire SDLC. It's interesting, I think, how the impact of AI kind of varies across the different stages. It's clear that you can make improvements in one area in one phase, but then that just shifts a bottleneck somewhere else in the pipeline. So thank you very much for that, all that great information. But before we continue, let's check in with our audience again. Okay, it's time for our second poll question. So where do you see the least impact, not the most, but the least impact from AI tools today? Is it in PR review workflows, your Q&A and test automation, your release and deployment, your requirements clarification, or maybe you're not really sure where the impact is yet? So let's pause again for a few minutes. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please vote. Okay, great. Well, thank you to everyone for your input. As we've been discussing here, cycle time and improving cycle time isn't just about coding faster. It's about addressing bottlenecks across your entire delivery pipeline. In this final section of our presentation today, Ritesh is going to share some practical AI action items for engineering team leaders. And then we're going to present a real-world case study right from Talentic's own experience. All right, Ritesh, back to you.
Hey, thanks, Mike. All right. So thank you, Mayank, for explaining all the phases of SDLC and how AI tools are effective, which AI tools are effective. There are some tactics which everyone can use. If you start doing it today, within a week or so, you will see good results. First two sections are more about the rule files, which nowadays people are also creating skill files, as you see. So it's very important to have a rule file in the system, but it should not be a bloated rule file. You should have a rule file as more like a guideline for the AI on what to do, how to do, and what not to do. So people mostly write in their rule files what to do and never mention what not to do. It's very important to mention what not to do. For example, in my experience, when I'm working with React code, right, we use Tailwind. And if you don't mention, do not use any other UI framework, styling framework, it will just start install Material UI and it start writing code with that. So it's very important to mention that use Tailwind and not use any other tools or any other packages to do this activity. So rule files are important where you mention your coding standards, architecture patterns that you want to follow. For example, if you are using Redux, mention that you use Redux. Don't leave it for AI to imagine and search and find those patterns and then apply it all the time. Sometimes it does it and sometimes it just fails to do it. So rule files are most important. Second thing are the section based rule files. Why we are calling it section based? Because in my experience, when you write a bloated rule file with jumbled up instructions, it becomes very hard for AI to read through it and provide you actual better output. But if you start creating sections in your markdown, security sections, naming convention sections, and stuff like that, you will see that the whole output has suddenly changed. Dramatically, it will change if you see that. Going forward, first and second, if you are doing it properly, your PRD generation, business PRD, technical PRD, spec generation, all of that will be sorted very, very well if you are doing these first two correctly. Now comes the part where engineers are actually writing code or writing test cases. And this applies for even DevOps engineer writing their Terraform or Helm charts, right? So first thing is your chat context that you're opening either in Cloud Code or even in Cursor. The chat context should be small, which means do not chat like 50 or 60. Do not do 50, 60, 70 iterations on one chat window. I normally recommend doing 5 to 7 iterations max in one chat window. So you need to pick up a smaller set of tasks and do very restrictive chat with that chat session. Because every time you are chatting, the way AI context today works is AI does not have a memory of its own. So if you have done 5 chats and every time it has loaded up 10 files, then on the sixth chat, if you just write hi, it's probably going to cost you 60 to 70 cents at least. And I'm talking about models like Sonnet 4.5. If you switch to models like Opus 4.6 or GPT 5.4, which was released last week, it might cost you several dollars just to type a hi. So please be very cautious on using that. Of course, when you use these tools, there are modes like ask mode, agent mode, and plan mode. My personal favorites are ask mode and agent mode. I use them the most. And plan mode I use occasionally, but with proper rule files and proper skill files, my ask mode, in my personal experience, my ask mode is better than the plan mode provided by Cursor itself. So I can generate a better design with ask mode than the plan mode. But it's a personal preference, not that I'm asking you not to use it, but you can do better with ask mode as well. Okay. Then once all of this is sorted, we, as Mayank already mentioned, MCP, you need to use MCPs. Here again, the primary thing to note is do not use hundreds of MCPs that are available in the market, because every time an AI call is made, the MCP metadata JSON is sent with the request to the AI that is unnecessarily consuming tokens, right? Which is costing you money and it is not helping you at all. So install only those MCPs which you need. For example, for the AI augmented PR review, we need the GitHub MCP. So I normally install the GitHub MCP where I provide the PR link and I have rule files, how to review those PR and what kind of reports it needs to generate and what to look in the PR. For example, one example would be check if it's a front-end code, check for any kind of secrets or API keys that are present in the front-end code. It would immediately catch it and will tell you that there is something wrong with this code. We also ask AI to score our PR for release ready. out of 100, if it is release ready or not, and what needs to be changed to make it release ready. So use PR augmented reviews, because if you are doing that, then this will help you do 80% of the reviews with automation within few minutes. And 20% part of it, you will do manual review, of course. And my personal favorite is Figma to code, because if you have Figma ready, you will see that if you are using the Figma MCP and you are using the screen to convert to Figma to React, you will get 80 to 85% accuracy if you are using models like Sonnet 4.5 or Opus 4.6. There are some problems with 5.4. I recently tried it. There are some issues with its UI work. Backend, it works really well, the 5.4, but in UI, there are serious issues. I don't like the model for UI work. But again, it depends on model to model, which you are switching while you're working with Cursor or Copilot. Okay. Now, in the last 6 months, doing all these, we have delivered a very big project, which was a marketing domain project, which was a very old monolithic project with millions of lines of code and hundreds of features. We rewrote the whole thing greenfield in 6 months with couple of millions of lines of code deployed in production using all these techniques I have mentioned above. So the entire system would have taken us, I've written 24 here, 18 to 24, but I doubt what I've written right now, because 24 months wouldn't be enough with the same team size. I would suspect it would take me maybe 24 months with maybe 2x or 3x of the team size I had today to do the job. So I'm very happy that this was done, and multi-billion-dollar revenue customers are right now using the platform, and there are no major or serious bugs in production. But one important lesson which we learned while we are doing this activity is the bottleneck was initially, or even for quite some time, was in the UX phase, because we, for at least 13 to 14 modules, we had to, or micro frontends, we wrote the whole screens with whatever we thought is correct, because UX was not completed by then. And because Mayank already mentioned that UX gain is little over 30% we see, and because of the limitations, right? Because UX tools are vector-based tools, like Figma is a vector-based tools. So as new tools will come up, like for example, there is a tool called Paper Design, if you have heard about it from Google. If you use it, you will see it works really well with Cursor. It brings the whole design up within few minutes, and it is HTML, CSS based. So converting your ideas to prototype and design and back would be much easier going forward over the period of time. Now, we did this whole thing with all the best practices. And one important thing that we did was what you can see in this screen. So what I predict for the future of AI industry, at least, is that the whole industry is going to bifurcate into two parts. So one will be vibe coders and another will be AI native engineers. So vibe coders will be the people who would say, turn these 4 buttons into blue. The buttons will turn into blue. They do not know how it turned into blue, but it turned into blue. They go to some other screen, it's still green, because they didn't know there is a design system, something called design system in place, and you don't change the color of the individual buttons. You go to the design system and change it there. And AI wouldn't know it because you didn't mention it to AI, because you don't know the technology. So in Talentica, we thrive and we aim to achieve this excellence. And that's why we have created this evaluation metrics and training metrics in Talentica, where we label each person working in Talentica as L1 to L4, where L1 is a person who knows basic understanding of AI and knows about tools and terminologies, but does not have a good hands-on on AI. Functional are those people, L2 people, who uses AI under guidance. L3 are proficient people. This is where majority of the people are in Talentica. Integrates AI into daily workflow with measurable business impact. You can distinctively see that cycle time has improved quite a bit when these people are working in the project. And L4 are the power user who keeps learning new techniques, new things that are coming up, and figure out mechanism to use them in their code, in their pipelines, in their SDLC phases. One thing that I have seen in the last 3 years is that it's not just about the tool which is provided to that individual person. It's all about the engineering mindset. So I think a entire mindset shift is required for a person to deliver well in an AI native way, because the whole orchestration and everything depends on your mindset and your ability to learn the platform and your curiosity to learn the platform. So if you're learning it well and you believe that the tool works, then I have seen that the tool do wonders, which I already showed you. In 6 months, what we achieved was impossible without AI. We could have never done it, even if you put hundreds of people in it.
Thank you, Ritesh. That was a great look at all the different levels of and how AI is going to become real in development teams like the folks listening in today. And it's thank you for kind of showing you guys how you guys made it real at Talentica. So it's about time to get our audience involved in this discussion. Don't you guys agree? So everyone out there, if you have a question, there's got to be questions. There's been a lot of great information here today. So please use that Q&A button at the bottom of your screen and submit your question there. We'll try to get to as many as we can during the time that we have remaining. So I got a question while we're kind of waiting for folks to weigh in here. So what I was struck here is that we're seeing a lot of organizations claiming that they code 2 to 3x times faster using AI tools. So if I'm an engineering manager or a team leader out there, what metrics should I be tracking to determine whether AI is really improving my delivery speed? Just beyond the productivity of developers.
Yeah. So I think, Mike, the primary factor that we tend to measure is the cycle time, because a few years back, even we thought that measuring individuals is a good idea, but now we see that doesn't matter if your UX design is ready, doesn't matter if your testing is ready, if you're not going live and people are not using the application, it doesn't matter, right? How fast you were. So I think the cycle time is the only true metric at this point that I see people should use and people should measure. From idea to production is what we should measure. Initially, what happened was, when you have an idea, then out of that idea, you start churning, you start discussing, create the designs. Without AI, I'm talking about, you create designs and the funnel keeps on growing narrower and narrower, right? The things you write code, the things you test, and the things goes live becomes narrower and narrower. But now, if you see in this today's AI's world, the pipeline is not narrower, but more almost parallel, where everything that you envision is mostly in production. If you are able to achieve that, then you can consider that as a success.
All right, excellent. Okay, so we got another question here. So what I thought is this is interesting, and I heard you say this a couple of times as well as the person who's asking the question. But UX and UI design scored the lowest in terms of AI effectiveness at only like 30%. Do you see that changing soon? This is for me. Why don't we give this one to Mayank? Okay, so Mayank, do you kind of see this changing soon? Will the judgment by like real live humans remain a part of the design process, or is AI going to come for that too?
Yeah, so definitely I see a change will come here soon, because things are getting improved. Just recently, a MCP was launched from syncing screens from Lovable tool to Figma to remove that gap, right? And even Figma Make to Figma, there is some development is going on to sync the bidirectional sync. Yeah, so once these development are mostly stable, right? I think the limitation of syncing screens from Figma Make this prototyping tool to our actual Figma will be kind of reduced and eliminated, and that time when these are stable, definitely the effectiveness will definitely increase.
Okay, great, excellent, thank you. So we do have another question. So I think this person's asking all the way across the SDLC, from idea all the way to production software. How much reduction should we expect in terms of, I guess, time and effort?
So it depends on the type of work that needs to be done. So if you are doing a greenfield project, then multi-X gain you can assume in easily in the combined all the phases. But if you are doing a brownfield project, you are doing some refactoring of existing project where existing project is still live, then you will see lesser numbers there, because the system is live in production and you are touching that. So AI or not AI, you have to be sure that you are doing the right thing. The architecture could be wrong in the first place, right? And you are trying to correct that. The database design could be wrong. So if you are correcting all those things, then that takes additional time and effort. And there the numbers are less. But if you are doing a greenfield project, I would say multi-X gain is really, really achievable at this point of time.
Okay. I mean, Ritesh, one of the things you talked about was kind of the shift from AI tools to AI native kind of development. So here's kind of the human side of the question. What kind of cultural changes are going to be required within engineering teams, do you think, to make that transition successful?
Yeah, first thing is to believe that the tool works. I've seen people fail with the best tool and the best models because they didn't believe in the tool itself. I mean, they thought that it would not work. So when you think that way, your mind conditions you not to try new things, right? Because you have already given up on the tool. So first thing is believe in the tool. Second thing is all the tricks that we have shared, the tactics we have shared, try to use them. And third thing is try to learn new things that are coming into the market. Like for example, it might be relevant or not, but just last week, Cloud Code released Loop, right? If you have heard about it, so it lets you set reminders in your Cloud console itself, where you can do things in periodic basis. Like you can say check my PRs from GitHub, and if any PR is available, review it and send me an email. So it works for you like 24/7. So these kind of new things you need to embrace to improve your productivity. So these cultural shifts would be required, Mike, to make those improvements.
Okay, so let's give the next one to Mayank. So given the rapid AI evolution and updates, which are kind of happening almost every month at this point, this questioner is asking me, how do we embrace these changes for a well-built product and its enhancements going forward?
Yeah, so related to the like if we are doing enhancement in the existing project, right? Definitely using this technique will definitely work because you are already setting AI as per your use case, as per your scenarios, uh, so that it generates the code for your new features, new enhancement, as per your guidelines, as per your and the PR reviews that you do augmented with AI, right? So definitely, when we do that part, we will see a good gain there.
Okay. Oh, is that okay? Cool. This is a question about budgets, money. It says, in your experience till now, does time and efficiency relate directly to a revenue increase or maybe lower billings or lower engineering budgets? I mean, what are the financial implications, Ritesh,
Yeah.
of doing this?
So again, it depends on what you want to do. So if you are doing a greenfield project, earlier it for let's say a 5 people team, if it would have taken like 6 months, then maybe with a 3 people team we could do it in 4 months now, or in even 3.5 months now, with good production grade code, highly secure and highly scalable. So there you save ton of money at this point. And if you're talking about an existing project which is in legacy technologies, let's say .NET or Java, which is very and monolithic project with big files, like 10,000 lines of code in one file, and we want substantial gain there, then it's very, very hard to gain substantial. You do gain definitely, because the code can be understood using the help of AI. The code can be generated using the help of AI. But since you're writing the code in an existing code base, existing infrastructure, it becomes important to test that very, very thoroughly, dev test, QA test, and then go live with it. So the percentage or the quantum of benefit reduces a bit, but still, without AI versus AI, it's always higher gain when you are using AI, be it a greenfield project, be it a brownfield project, or any other kind of project.
Okay, great. Thank you. We're getting a lot of questions. This shows you how interesting this topic is for people. So for the folks out there, we're going to try to get to as many as we can before I'm told that our time is up. So talking specifically about the marketing project and the success of that project that you created, a case study around. how much of your team consisted of L4s, what you call the power users? How many of
Uh,
those, as a percentage of the entire team? I don't even, I guess, know.
okay, yeah. I mean, I think I wouldn't like to reveal all the numbers here, but I would say around 50 to 60% of the team was consisting of L4s and 40% around were L3s.
So
Because
you
day
guys are
one, we
highly skilled
decided,
over there at Talentica. Would you say that's
yes,
an average, or do you think it should be
that's an
30% of
average.
most
That's an
people?
average. Yeah, I think. Yeah,
Okay.
that's an average because majority of people in Talentica, we keep doing these trainings, we keep doing this evaluation every bi-weekly so that
Yeah.
we know who is at what position. We do a lot of trainings as well, certifications as well, so that people are aware of all the latest things that are in the market.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you guys have any recommendations on the tools? Mayank, you mentioned a lot of different tools when you went through the ASDLC. This questioner says that Claude seems to have become the default choice. Would you agree with that, or do you think that it doesn't matter as much?
So it doesn't matter much. Like even you can get good achievements using Cursor Copilot. It's what it matter is you should, as Ritesh said, right? You should believe in the tool. The mindset should be of the love of the learning, right? Set your things properly related to MCPs, rules, and most of the tool works really well, right? There could be some gain on the cloud side, but most of the tool works really best. And if you, I was just reading a blog, right, just maybe 2 weeks back, where we see that most of the startups kind of take cloud as their default choice, and most of the big tech, right, big companies take Copilot as their default choice. So it also matters based on company to company. But if it is a more stable enterprise company, they kind of go with Copilot sometime. But the tool doesn't matter much. The matter much is your right processes, right? Your learning process, setting the things of the setting the tools properly to get it used effectively.
Okay, excellent. So I'm going to leave this with you, Mayank. So, AI is generating, a lot of code, and testing becomes really critical. So what changes should teams consider in their testing strategy, or maybe their automation frameworks, to ensure that, the quality stays high, and yet it's keeping pace with, faster development?
Yeah. So on the testing side, right, I will split into two things. So one is so that it helps the QA part, because nowadays, right, using AI tools, we can write unit test case. Developer can write unit test case and integration test case really fast with good coverage. So this will save you regression bugs and help QA focus on more on the browser automation test, right? So on the browser automation test, definitely, as I mentioned in the phase as well, right? Start using MCPs for each frame. There are many MCPs for different frameworks like Playwright and Selenium and other frameworks, right? Start using them to get better speed up in your QA automation script. And there is some limitation with the tool, but yeah, development is ongoing with them. There are more tools coming. For example, in even in Chrome dev tool, right, we can run a manual test script, download the script. Even in we can install plugin the Chrome dev tool itself to give us a Playwright script from our manual test case. So different tools are coming. Things will, I think, will be more effective in this phase as well. And we should utilize these new tools, these MCPs, to get better gains on the QA test phase.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So this will be our last question, and I'm going to give this one to Ritesh. So we've heard about some pretty severe outages lately in Amazon, Instagram. So in brownfield projects, in your experience, what guardrails can be implemented to mitigate these outages?
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice question, and this is something we all should take it seriously, because this will happen if you are not implementing proper guardrails, right? Like for example, security guardrails is the most important one. One of the recent case study I saw where white coder wrote the whole app and Stripe API key was in the React code. So somebody just took the key and start charging the customers. If you have the API key, and start charging the customers, right? So these kind of things would happen if you are not having those guardrails, like security guardrails, proper reviews, right? Proper code impact analysis. Like if it's a brownfield project, a lot of code is there in the system. You need to understand what code goes into production, what the code has, what kind of impact. You have proper unit test cases or not, you have proper integration test cases or not, and all the existing test cases are passing or not. If you're not doing all these activities and just to improve the cycle time, if you are just pushing code to production, then definitely we will see these kind of outages.
Yeah, all right, thank you. So I guess that's all the time we got for today. So I want to thank our two speakers, Mayank and Ritesh, for all that incredible discussion, and for all of you out there for your questions. As I mentioned earlier, we'll be sending the presentation slides and the webinar recording to all participants in your email, so you can review this material and share it with all your teams. We really appreciate you spending part of your day with us today, and we hope to see you at a future Lentic webinar. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a great day.